All right, so um, diving into this mystery that's just captivated people forever, did Hitler actually die in that bunker back in 45? You brought all this research and articles, so you must be pretty into this too, huh?
Oh yeah, it's way more than a simple escape though. It's like a whole web of theories mixing history with Cold War stuff and even some occult stuff.
Yeah, from what I've seen, it's not just about like a quick flight out of Germany. We're talking secret groups hiding in South America, even maybe that occult connection. Gonna be wild. But before we get into all that, what's the official story? Like, what do the history books say about how Hitler died?
Officially, Hitler killed himself with Eva Braun, April 30th, 1945,
Yeah.
burned and buried by the bunker. Supposedly. End of story.
Right. But history's never that simple, is it? What gets me is even with that official story, there are these big gaps, right? Like what's fueling all this speculation after all these years?
Yeah. Well, the biggest mystery is the remains themselves, right?
Yeah.
The condition they were in, if it was even them to begin with, um, there's always been this debate, like, could it have been doubles? Or were the remains too messed up to really tell?
So how do we get from like questioning the remains to these full-blown theories about Hitler escaping? What do these conspiracy folks lash onto?
One big thing is that DNA test from 2009. On that skull fragment everyone thought was Hitler's, turned out to be from a woman. Really messed with the official story.
Wow, yeah, I can see why that'd raise some questions. But does that test actually prove he escaped? Like for sure.
Not definitive proof, no, but
Yeah.
it definitely it shows the official story's got holes, gives those conspiracy theories a starting point.
Okay, yeah. Speaking of those theories, you gave me that research, Hitler's Fate, Conspiracy Theories of Survival After World War II. It's got all these escape theories. Let's break down a few, starting with the more realistic ones. What about those secret tunnel stories?
Yeah, the tunnels. A lot of people like that one. A network of tunnels under Berlin leading to secret airfields. Hitler getting whisked away right under the Allies' noses like last minute.
That's pretty dramatic, but how realistic is that? Were there really tunnels, and could they have been used like that to escape?
There were tunnels, yes, some for transportation, some for shelter during the air raids.
Hmm.
But whether they were big enough and led to the right places, that's up for debate.
So maybe the tunnels are a bit of a stretch. What about escaping by submarine? That seems to come up a lot in the stuff you gave me.
U-boat theory.
Yeah.
Hitler, maybe disguised, gets on a U-boat and boom, off to South America.
Yeah.
Makes sense, right. Germany had ties to some South American countries,
Yeah.
and a lot of Nazis did escape there after the war.
Right. Argentina, especially. Why Argentina?
Well, they welcomed a lot of German immigrants, right? And back then, their government, Juan Perón was in charge, was pretty friendly to the Nazis. Plus, it's far from Europe. Hard to find someone hiding there.
So Argentina had everything that would make it like a good place for someone like Hitler to disappear. Are there any stories or proof that he was actually there?
Oh, there are tons of books, people saying they saw him in Argentina, but most of them, they don't have any real evidence. It's all hearsay, speculation.
Yeah.
Like some even say he had kids there, lived a good life. Just adds to the whole mystery, I guess.
It is kind of wild how those stories stick around, even without proof. It's like, the lack of proof makes it even more interesting somehow.
Yeah, the mystery of what happened to Hitler, it lets people fill in the blanks. Like the less we know for sure, the more room there is for people to imagine things.
So we've got the tunnels, the submarine, hiding out in South America. Are there any other escape routes in these theories?
There's one kind of out there about this Nazi group, Odessa. It stands for Organisation der ehemaligen SS-Angehörigen, which is basically like an organization of former SS members. They supposedly helped Nazis escape after the war.
Like a secret society protecting their own.
Exactly. People who believe this theory, they say Odessa had the resources to pull off complicated escapes, even for Hitler.
Huh.
They moved Nazi money out of Germany, set up safe havens, that kind of thing.
It's interesting how these theories take real stuff, like Odessa existing, and mix it with speculation. Makes it seem believable at first, even if there's no solid proof.
Yeah, it's a way to make it seem more credible, grounding it in reality. Makes it more appealing to people looking for different explanations.
Which brings us to a pretty interesting part of this whole Hitler survival thing, the occult. How does that fit in?
Well, we know the Nazis were obsessed with the occult, with ancient artifacts, right?
Hmm.
Some theories say maybe they found some kind of advanced technology or a supernatural knowledge that helped them escape.
Now we're getting into like uncharted territory. We're talking secret societies, hidden knowledge, maybe even supernatural powers.
That's the idea. Some people think they found something huge, like advanced tech hidden in some old artifact, or contact with beings from another world, something that gave them an advantage in escaping.
Like Indiana Jones, but with Nazis looking for magic stuff instead of archaeologists?
Yeah, kind of. These theories say the Nazis weren't just obsessed with the occult for ideological reasons. They wanted power, knowledge, and maybe even a way to escape.
It's wild how these theories mix real history with speculation and the supernatural. It makes it really interesting, even if it's hard to believe.
Yeah, it's a powerful mix, right? It appeals to that sense of wonder we have, that desire for a more dramatic story than just a suicide in a bunker.
This is all super interesting, but is there any real evidence for these wilder theories, or are we just like in pure speculation land now?
That's the question, isn't it? The more realistic theories have some historical stuff to back them up, but these occult ones, they're mostly guesswork and interpretation.
So we have these possible escape routes, places he could have hidden, but no real proof Hitler actually used them. It seems like we've set the stage to really dig into the evidence or the lack of it. We'll do that after a quick break. Stay with us.
So we've got all these theories, but time to be skeptical, right? What about the proof? Or the lack of proof, I guess, for these claims?
Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it? When you really look at the evidence, these theories, they kind of fall apart. Like those eyewitness accounts, people always use those as proof, but memories are tricky, especially after so long. Details get mixed up, and people's opinions, they can change how they remember things.
Right, right. People could be like remembering wrong or even making stuff up. What about those Hitler sightings in South America? Some of those have got to be legit, right?
Honestly, none of the sightings have ever been, like, truly confirmed. You got blurry photos, stories passed down through families, but nothing solid enough to hold up. It's like trying to catch a ghost, you
Yeah.
know? Might see something out of the corner of your eye, but there's nothing really there. Okay, so the eyewitness stuff and the sightings, those are shaky. What about like actual documents, official records, secret files, anything like that saying Hitler might have lived?
There have been a few documents, yeah, saying they're proof.
Yeah.
But when people look closer, a lot of them are fake, or people are misinterpreting what the documents actually say.
Feels like every lead we look at hits a dead end. It's almost people who believe he survived are just hoping instead of looking at the facts.
I think there's some truth to that. It's appealing to think he escaped,
Right.
like psychologically. It's hard to accept that a guy who caused so much pain could just die in a bunker.
Yeah, the world had just gone through World War II. For him to just disappear, it's like an unfinished story.
Exactly. People want a more exciting ending, something that fits the scale of what he did. The idea of him just fading away doesn't fit the image of this powerful villain.
Ew, are you saying like we need a better ending, a sense of justice? Is that why we're so drawn to these theories?
I think that's a big part of it. It's more satisfying to think that Hitler got what he deserved somehow secretly instead of just killing himself. It feeds into that human desire for good to win in the end.
And there's the whole mystery part of it too, right? The holes in the official story, they make space for all these other ideas.
For sure. We're curious. We want to know things. We want to figure things out. And when we don't have those answers, our imagination takes over.
So it's like the lack of proof is actually making these theories stronger, giving them room to grow.
Exactly. People can pick and choose the info that fits their version of the story and ignore anything that doesn't.
It reminds me of all that fake news stuff we see now. It's like people want to believe certain things so bad, they'll accept anything that backs up their opinions, whether it's true or not.
Yeah, I see the connection. In both cases, people don't trust the official story. They'd rather believe something else, even if there's not much to back it up.
It seems like not trusting authority was a big part of why these Hitler theories started, especially during the Cold War.
Absolutely. The Cold War was like prime time for conspiracy theories. Everyone was paranoid, suspicious, easy to believe that governments were hiding stuff about Hitler.
So people were already looking for secrets. Did the Cold War also lead to more like fake news and propaganda?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Mm.
Both sides were spreading false information, trying to make the other side look bad, made it hard to know what was real.
It's like the Cold War was the perfect setup for these theories. People didn't trust authority, they wanted information, and there were all these lies and propaganda flying around.
Exactly. It's no surprise the Hitler theories took off then. People felt like they had, like, secret knowledge, that they were in the loop while everyone else was clueless.
It's crazy how the history of the Cold War and the psychology of wanting answers came together to create this breeding ground for these theories. Shows how powerful stories are, how we want stories that explain the world, even if they're not true.
It also shows how important it is to think critically, you know, especially now when there's so much information out there, true and false. We got to question what we see and hear and look for evidence.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's easy to get caught up in a good story, but we gotta look at the facts, form our own opinions based on evidence, not just speculation.
That's super important. We live in a world where there's tons of information, but a lot of it's not true. Learning to tell fact from fiction, real evidence from made up stuff, that's key to understanding the world.
So even if we never know for sure what happened to Hitler, talking about these theories has been helpful. It makes us think critically, question what we think we know, and see how complicated history and human nature really are.
Yeah, it reminds us that history isn't always clear cut. There are always going to be things we don't know, things that are open to interpretation. And that's what makes it so interesting.
It's always changing. We're always learning new things, and there are always more questions to ask, different ways of looking at things. We've been through the official story, those holes in the evidence, and all those theories about Hitler maybe escaping. What I find really interesting is how these theories just keep going, even when there's not much to back them up. What do you think? Like, what is it about these theories that keeps people searching for answers, even when it seems like those answers might not even be out there?
It really shows you how strong a story can be,
Mm,
and that human need to find meaning, even in the darkest parts of history. Think about it. Hitler escaping, living out his life somewhere
right.
hidden. It's scary, right? But it's also kind of fascinating.
Yeah, like a thriller movie, but on a global scale. The bad guy disappears, and there are all these unanswered questions. No wonder people are drawn to it. It's like there's a hidden truth out there just waiting to be found.
And there's that what if thing. What if he did escape? What if he was still like pulling strings from somewhere? Those questions, they get to us, about how evil works, whether it can really be stopped.
It makes you think maybe history doesn't always have a neat ending. Maybe sometimes the bad guys, they don't get what they deserve. That's a scary thought. But it also makes you realize the past isn't always as simple as we want it to be.
There's also that feeling of control you get when you believe these theories, like you have secret knowledge, you see through the lies that everyone else believes.
It's like you have this forbidden knowledge, something hidden from everyone else. It's a powerful feeling, especially these days when there's so much information coming at us all the time.
And honestly, conspiracy theories are just fun. It's an adventure, a way to escape the boring stuff and dive into a world of mystery and intrigue.
Yeah, like it's more exciting to watch a spy movie than a history documentary, right? Even if we know it's not real, we like the thrill of not knowing.
But I think there's something deeper going on too. We like to make sense of things, to find patterns and explanations, even if they aren't there. Conspiracy theories, they give us a way to make order out of chaos, to have a story that feels good, even if it's not true.
So even though we might logically know that Hitler probably died in that bunker, there's a part of us that wants to believe in something more exciting. Maybe we just want a better story. Maybe we're scared of the unknown. But something keeps bringing us back to these theories even after all this time.
And as long as there are those missing pieces, those unanswered questions, I think people will always be fascinated by these theories. They tap into something in us, that fascination with the dark side of history, and that need to understand, even when the answers are hard to find.
This has been a really great deep dive. It's clear why you're so into this topic. We might never know for sure about Hitler, but looking at these theories has been really interesting. It's made us think critically, question what we thought we knew, and appreciate how complex history is, how complex people are.
It reminds us that we don't always have all the answers about the past, and that's okay. It's a process of learning new things, rethinking what we thought we knew, and wrestling with the big questions. That's what makes history so cool.
Thanks for taking us on this deep dive into one of history's biggest mysteries. And to everyone listening, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep thinking for yourselves. Because when it comes to history, there's always something more to learn, something more to think about, and something more to talk about.